my name is Chloe Sherezny, and I'm doing my presentation on the history and treatment of AIDS. And so I'm going to turn this like this because you can't really see, but the reason it's HIV/AIDS is because when somebody has HIV for a long time, it can actually turn into AIDS. So that's why I am doing that. So on this first slide, I'm just going to talk about the history of both of them together. And HIV actually stands for human immunodeficiency virus, and AIDS stands for acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. So it turns from a virus to an actual syndrome that you have. And scientists believe that humans got this disease from interacting with chimps. And when these people interacted with chimps, they would go and hunt them. So then when they actually killed the chimps, the blood from the chimps got on the humans. So that's how they think that people actually acquired this disease, by actually interacting with them, by killing them and hunting them. Back in time, the scientists thought that you could only get HIV from 4 different kinds of people, and they actually called this the 4-H club: hemophiliacs, homosexual men, heroin users, and Haitians. So that's why they thought that. But whenever they realized that a female had sexual intercourse with a male, they realized that it's not just homosexual guys who can get it, or Haitians, or those kinds of people. It's actually can come from like sexual intercourse or oral sex or anything like that. So that's why that changed drastically. My second slide is just more into depth about just HIV itself, not actually the transfer of it becoming AIDS. HIV is actually considered an STI, which is a sexually transmitted infection. So it's not actually the STD, it's just a STI. This can spread by coming into contact with somebody else's blood. So you can get it like from a blood transfusion, or you can get it from sharing needles if you do drugs. That's a really big way to get any kind of disease, honestly. Another way you can get it is if a mother is giving birth to her child and she was actually infected with HIV. She can give birth to her child and actually give the child HIV as it's born. Or if the mother has HIV and it doesn't come out with HIV, she can breastfeed it and actually give it HIV as well. Most people don't really realize that they have HIV when they get it, because they're just like flu-like symptoms, because it has to do with your immune system. So when your immune system weakens, you just think you're sick or something's wrong with you like that. So it's hard for people to tell, but it takes HIV a while to actually turn into AIDS, because there's like 4 different steps of HIV. So then when it actually gets to that step, that's when it actually turns to AIDS. Some symptoms that come with the acute HIV, just like the beginning, is a fever, headache, muscle aches, joint pain, rash, sore throat, mouth sores, and swollen lymph nodes. The swollen lymph nodes is what's really the biggest deal whenever it comes to somebody getting HIV. Throughout all the stages of HIV, the symptoms just keep getting worse and worse. So from the first stage to the 4th stage, it's just the symptoms becoming more and more drastic of a change. And the actual HIV can last up to 10 years. My next slide is more into depth on AIDS itself. AIDS is actually just the most advanced stage of HIV. But if someone actually has HIV, it doesn't mean that they're going to get AIDS. It doesn't mean that you're going to go as far as that step. If you catch it early, you're going to slow down the symptoms, is basically what you're going to do. It becomes AIDS when somebody doesn't even know that they have HIV, or they know that they have it and they don't care and they just don't treat it. It just happens when it's just not treated. Once the infection is diagnosed as AIDS, it's basically completely helpless. There's only one thing, one medication you can take to help slow it down, but that's all you're going to get to. Say somebody completely decides to not take treatment, you can die in 3 years. That's the shortest amount of time that you can live. But that's all.